I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I have one of my favorite things to do, which is the one-on-one coaching sessions. And today I have Allie with me. She is in the membership. Her and I did the one-on-one coaching. We did 8 coaching sessions. We got her business launched. Then she came and joined us in the membership for the group coaching. But now she's got some things coming up like imposter syndrome and all the things that we all have coming up when we first start this business. So we thought we would record it so we could share it with you. And then that way it can help you as well, because I know that if one person's going through it, there are definitely more going through it. So thank you, Allie, for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So tell me what you would like to get out of today's coaching session. Like, what would be a good goal for you for us to strive towards?
Okay, so I have a really big, huge fear of posting on social media. It's bigger, say, than my fear of putting myself out there in terms of talking to people. Like, I'm still a little awkward talking to people and saying, like, I'm a professional organizer. Like, it still feels fake, I guess. But I'm a former public school teacher, and overall, like, being in real life in person is much more comfortable for me than anything over a screen, because I spent my 20s and 30s talking to people, obviously mostly kids, but also lots of adults, lots of staff presentations, lots of workshops. I did a lot of presenting in real life, and I was definitely nervous about it, but it never stopped me from doing it. That is not the case with posting anything online or digitally. I am so terrified of doing it. And so I end up just avoiding it, putting it off. I never really get to like a stride with it. And I've done a few different like methods of posting on social media. Like, I've done some book selling, and I've done some stuff in my personal account, but like, I just cannot hit a stride to where it feels not like I'm going to vomit. Actually, the first time I did a public post on social media, I literally ran to the bathroom and threw up. So it is not, it's not like a tiny, like, oh, it's like, I'm kind of nervous. It's like a big fear. And a lot of the advice that I've gotten has not really been helpful. Like, the advice I get is either people saying like, just do it. Just do it. You just have to do it, which, yeah, okay. Or I get a lot of people giving me like ideas of what to post on social media, which is kind of like telling someone who's terrified to leave their house, like all the different ways they can get to the grocery store. Like, they know how to get to the grocery store. They just can't put their foot outside the house. So that's where I'm at. I don't even know, because there are some people that are like, you can run a business without social media. And I'm sure that's true, but I feel like until I conquer this fear, I'm always going to feel like I'm not doing enough, or like there's going to be other things I can't get past if I can't get past this. So that's kind of my number one thing right now.
Perfect. Let's start there with, if I post on social media, the fear is blank.
It's so many things that come up for me. I definitely have a big fear of failure. Like, there's fear of failure caught up in this. The imposter syndrome. I don't really know who I'd want to be, I guess, like as a brand on social media. When I first got rolling with all of this, I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to crank it out. Yes. And then like the longer things went on, like the more I started overthinking things, right? And it just didn't happen. And then of course I look at other people's social media, right? And I'm like, I literally don't know who I am. Like, so you had said use it as a portfolio, like just post your work, and I thought, perfect, I can do that. But the problem with that is, because I'm not really up and running yet, like I don't have anything like any more before and afters. Like, okay, there's my 3 before and afters. Like, they're in there. I don't have anything else going on right now. And then it's this like self-perpetuating cycle where the more I feel stuck with the social media, like the less I'm going to be able to progress, the fewer before and after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then so I don't really know who I want to be. I don't necessarily want to be a content creator. I can't get on there and act like I'm some sort of like expert in helping people organize. I just can't, like, I don't feel that yet. Hopefully I will at some point. Yeah, and then just all the horrible, horrible things that people feel very free to say online, which I don't blame them. I think people have always, like, I think that's just like human nature, and people feel safe, like saying mean things online. And I know it's just a reflection of them and their own stuff. Like, logically, I know that I wouldn't take it personally, but like emotionally, I can't make myself do it. Like, it's too scary.
So one of the fears is if I post, someone's going to judge me and tell me that like I'm being an imposter, or I'm not doing this correctly. Is that kind of where the imposter syndrome is coming in for you? It's that feeling and the brand thing of feeling like you have to have it all figured out and you've got to have your brand ready to go before.
Yeah. Like getting on social media and doing maybe like a reel or something where I'm just like, because it's always like, be authentically yourself. That feels so vulnerable to me. Cause I'm like, if I put myself out there as my real authentic self, then there's people on social media that can be really, really mean to my real authentic self. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be my total real authentic self, because then if people are mean, I can be like, well, they're just being mean to the organizer, not Allie. I have so, like, this stuff runs really deep for me. I can
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
Yeah. And because we're recording it for the podcast, I don't necessarily want to go super deep because I also know you're
Right.
working with like another coach for the emotional stuff. But for
Mm-hmm.
the tactical and like mindset things,
Mm-hmm.
so the thought you're telling yourself is that if I post on social media, people are going to be mean or they're going to judge me for posting or for what I'm posting.
Yeah, I mean that's the fear. Like, logically, my brain can say like that's probably not going to happen. Like, look at all these other people. Like, I watched these other women, some of them in your membership and others not, but they're just like, and on Tuesday I became a professional organizer, and they're just like off and running, and I like truly don't understand how they do that. Like, I'm like, how does someone have that much courage to just be like, this is what I am now? Like, that is, I can't make myself do that.
I think too, the other piece of this, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but so a lot of my members are teachers or principals or, in the school system. So the other thing that kind of comes up is that as a teacher, you've been taught to keep your personal life personal and your business life, like you don't want to share too much about you personally because your kids may see what it
Yes.
is that you're posting. So you've almost been trained to not share too much of yourself and to not be super vulnerable on social media.
Yes. And I started teaching in 2005-ish, somewhere around 2005, when it was like literally the wild west of social media. I mean, it was the new frontier. There were
Mm-hmm.
no blocks or filters. Like, it was all out there. Nobody really knew how to use it or what it was really going to be for. And so as a brand new, 22-year-old public school teacher, I was barely older than my students. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
I am not even going to go near that. So for all of my 20s and 30s, I didn't even really use it. And so I'm just now, not only am I learning it, and it appears to be insanely complicated, like insanely complicated, which I feel like they do on purpose, but whatever. Um, so not only am I like learning the technical side of how to use it, but also I don't even know like how to put myself out there, because yeah, for all those years, I just was like, I will never do this.
Mm-hmm. So I almost wonder, and I'm just going to ask this because I know your backstory and I know you, and I know we had talked about maybe doing this at one point, but
Mm-hmm.
you're the teacher brain that you have and the way you would have stood up and taught your kids, like the kids in your class. Is there any way of figuring out a way that when you look at social media, you can think of that, like whatever that post is, that it's literally that, like it's standing up in front of the class and essentially teaching them what they need to know? Because as a professional organizer, yes, it's nice. Like I was hoping the portfolio thing would work with you because sometimes that works of, oh, just the before and afters. But like you're saying, if you're not working with a bunch of clients, it's hard to have the before and afters at the beginning. So if we switch kind of that thought process of if we can use your teacher mentality, your teacher brain, the teacher in you to post instead of Allie posting, or instead of the organizer that you don't feel like you are yet posting, what if the teacher in you is the one that's like sharing the information just like you would with your kids?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought of that. And then this is where the overthinking comes in. So the other day, I had a friend, we were texting, and her son has ADHD and he's going to start seventh grade next year. So she's nervous, right? And, parents, mom friends, they always come to me because I can immediately calm them down because I've seen it all. Like I taught seventh and eighth grade for 15 years and I was really good at it, which is also part of my problem with organizing because I went from feeling really good at doing something to I have no idea what I'm doing. So anyway, so she reached out and was like, how can she's like, I want to start learning now how I can help him stay organized so that he can not fall apart in seventh grade. And so I was like, oh yeah, like I know exactly, what to give to him. So I was like, let me just make you a video. So I made her a video like showing exactly how she could help him stay organized. And I sent it to her. And I thought like, yes, like this is the kind of stuff that I could definitely use. But then I start overthinking it because then I'm like, well, then do I always need to post teacher stuff? And then do I just become a teacher and I'm not actually evolving past being a teacher? Like, can I go from being like, here's how to help your kids to then here's how to help yourself? Like my overthinking logical brain comes in and just like complicates everything. And then I just don't do it.
Gotcha. So maybe it's a strategy that you need, but more of a strategy with an evolution planned. So as business owners, we're allowed to pivot. Like we're allowed. But I know from everything that I've learned and my own story is we have to stand first on who we already are before we can start trying to pivot to helping other people necessarily. Like if we could, it's going to give you confidence because you already know how to be a teacher. And I know we had talked for a little bit about maybe you kind of specializing in maybe like specifically how to get your kids ready for school and like middle school age and those types of things. So you're still helping the mom. You're still kind of niching down on overwhelmed moms that have school age kids. It's just, it would give you ideas of things to post of like, because I know for me with my kids, every beginning of the school year, I'm like, how do I get their notebook ready? How do like those basic things that for you, you're just like, oh yeah, I totally know how to do that. The rest of us do not totally know how to do that. We're like, I don't know, like what supplies do I get and how do I help keep my kid organized? And, homework's going to start coming in. How do I create a system to help them with their homework in the evening? And it's those little things that are going to help change other people's lives and give you something to talk about that you already know what you're talking about. So then the imposter syndrome can't come up in those moments. And as soon as you can start helping people, even if it's just a quick little post or a quick little video or like something small, doesn't have to be big, but as soon as you can start helping those people and then you let them know like, hey, if you're getting stuck in this, I like reach out to me. I would love to, come help you in person or even virtually to where I can give you that one-on-one advice. And that's whenever it will start to shift for you because then you'll start to have the before and afters. Then you'll start to have the testimonials. Then you'll start to feel like an organizer. But until we figure out what this piece is right now that's blocking you and how we can shift that part, like you said, all that other stuff, it feels like it's blocking all of that right now as well. Yeah. Are you ready to start your professional organizing business? The Pro Organizers Academy is your one-stop solution to turn your dream into reality. Step 1 is our comprehensive How to Start Your Professional Organizing Business course that gives you the tools to create a thriving business that will make a difference in your clients' lives. You'll learn how to launch your business and how to work with clients, including the paperwork. Step 2 of the Pro Organizers Academy has you becoming a part of our exclusive group coaching community, where you'll find support, inspiration, and guidance from both industry experts and your peers. This community is more than a network. It's a family dedicated to helping you overcome challenges and celebrate your successes. The relationships that you build will be instrumental as you grow your business. Then step 3 helps you create a website that converts, because in today's digital age, having an online presence is crucial. So in the website course, you get a website template specifically for pro organizers along with the teaching videos. This course ensures your online platform becomes a powerful tool for your business growth. Build your foundation the right way with courses, community, and coaching so you can streamline this part of the process. Go to proorganizersacademy.com to join, and I will see you there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, just knowing that I feel so stuck in this one area is literally going to like handicap me and keep me from moving forward in any way. Because like on a personal level, like I want to conquer this fear, like I really want to conquer it. And then on a business level, it just makes sense, you know? I mean, it just makes sense to use this as a form of marketing, and keeping all of your sort of online stuff like fluffed and active, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, could I do it without social media? Yes, but I don't know. I think just this niche that I'm into of, not necessarily that I'm committed to my niche yet. I'm still open and figuring it out, but I do enjoy working with women around my age, mothers of young children, you know, or school age kids. And those are all the people that have reached out to me so far. So I feel like that's kind of a good, I don't know, there's like a connection there that people feel, you know, it's mostly been moms that have reached out so far. So yeah, I mean, I want to conquer the fear.
It's exactly what you said, where, it seems like, oh, it's just social media, just do everything else and like keep the ball rolling. And you absolutely could. But at the same time, exactly what you're saying, where if like what I've learned in my business is the more I grow internally and the better my energy is when I am doing things for my business, the better return I'm getting, the better clients I'm getting, the better everything works energetically better
Exactly.
whenever I'm doing better on the inside. And when you
Yes.
have a fear or something that is almost like paralyzing you, it's essentially paralyzing the business, because then you're getting in your head about these other things that you wouldn't be getting in your head about if you could conquer this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, a lot of the people that I would be helping, I mean, a lot of people that I have helped already, they are scared of getting rid of stuff. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like that's scary for them. So them reaching out and asking for help to do something that's scary, you know, I want to do that too. I want to overcome that so that I can just be better at helping other people do it in general,
Yeah.
you know.
And so are you wanting to focus on Instagram or Facebook? Like, is there like which one of the two do you feel more comfortable with?
Well, Instagram to me is a bit more user friendly, but I do have both, and it is easy to post on Instagram and then just share it to Facebook. The bulk of where I want to actually post and create things is in Instagram, and then I can just share it to Facebook.
So if we're posting in Instagram, then are you wanting to create more like just like photo posts? Or are you wanting to do like videos and like put them out as like reels or stories, or like what are you thinking would be the
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. Obviously, photo posts are much easier and lower risk, I guess, in terms of what I'm afraid of. So, for example, the most recent post I did was a woman who lost her husband and had reached out and wanted to basically reset her whole house after he had passed. He was sick and then he passed away. And so she's, this is like a heavy grieving thing, a grief thing. And so I suggested that we start in her bedroom to create like a sanctuary for her. And she loved that idea. And she was like, he spent a lot of time sick here. So I want to, turn the space into my space. And I had asked her, I was like, are you into woo woo stuff? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, what we could like sage and like light a candle and like do a whole thing, right? So I bought this kit for her, like a smudge kit, and it's really, really cool. And so I posted a picture of it and tagged the woman that I bought it from. And I was like, that, and it looks really good. And I was like, that's the kind of stuff that's at this point, like I can do that. That's very low risk. So the thing that's mostly scary to me is, yeah, putting my face in anything. I mean, I would love to be someone who can just make reels all the time,
Wouldn't
but
we all?
I haven't been able to do it. And the thing is, like, I have plenty of ideas. Like, I've spent the past couple years, learning social media essentially, because I literally had never touched it before I left teaching a couple years ago. So I've really been learning it, and I understand like what the different types of posts are. I'm not an expert, obviously. Like I don't, because I haven't done any of this, but like I have plenty of ideas, and I'm a creative person, and I can figure things out pretty easily. So eventually, I'd probably would need like I need ideas of what else to post, but that's not my issue at all yet. Like I just need to make the reel and post it.
Okay, so like you said, the people that are reaching out to you who you think you're wanting to help are moms with kids. And are you wanting to stay with at least at first, because it can always change. It's not concreting you into this at all. It's just something to start with. So are you wanting to start with the talking to the parents about school type stuff and how to stay organized during the school year? Or, like even right now, school's about to wrap up. So like, how do you wrap up your kids for the summer, or things to be doing during the summer for school to start next year? Or like, are you open to doing that kind of stuff because you're wanting to talk to those moms that are overwhelmed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the keeping your kid organized sort of tutorials, I guess, like mini tutorials. Those, yeah, it would make more sense to start doing those in like July or August for sure. Because people will just take more notice at that point.
Anything we put out there, it's going to stay out there for when someone needs to find it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wait until July or August,
Mm-hmm.
then you've not had time to work through the fear of it. Like I would almost suggest you start now. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
don't overwhelm yourself with it needs to be every week or it needs to be twice a week. Like that's not the point. The point is to get maybe like 5 or 6 under your belt before July. So then when July gets here, you've had that practice. And the other thing with reels is we can always delete them. Like once we
Mm-hmm.
create them and post them, we could always delete it.
Oh, I've done that.
Right. Okay. So, but the other thing too is that at some point, you almost just have to go with trust, right? That like, because like, okay, for you, the people that you look at, which I did want to mention real quick. So you said a lot of the other people you see or whatever, that they're doing XYZ. Be careful looking at too many other people's stuff, because that in and of itself can paralyze us, because we're not at that level yet. And so then all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, I'm not that good, so I'm not good at all. I can't do
Right.
this because it's not that good.
I've definitely fallen into that a little bit by not being like feeling like I'm at the point where I can post. And so then I just keep looking at other posts, and yeah, it's
Because I remember even when I started the podcast, like having to turn around and edit my own voice for like 45 minutes was like cringe worthy in the beginning. It was so bad. But it only took doing it a few times before and finally getting to the point where I'm like, you know what? It just is what it is. My people are going to find me that are meant to find me. And the other people, like in business, we want to repel people and we want to attract people. And if we don't want the people that we should be repelling to be like, oh, well, I could work with her. And then you end up with like these clients that it's like, pulling teeth trying to work with them. And it's just more of an annoyance than it's worth. And so being yourself is the way to attract the right people and repel the others, which I know is scary. Like, I almost wonder so how many posts have you posted at this point? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, will that action kind of help you feel better, or have you already done the action so that it isn't helping?
So let's see. I can actually look right now. I have it. So I have posted 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Exactly. 15 posts.
Of like the photo posts?
Yes, no videos. No videos. One video, which was of my kid wearing a mask because I don't want to put my kids' faces online. So he was pulling stuff out from under his bed and he had like all this random stuff everywhere. And it was just so cute. So I made a little video of, because I had seen those other posts that were like, when you try to declutter and you find all the stuff you forgot you had, kind of those. Yeah. So I turned it into one of those, but like, okay, I was not in that. My kid was in it, but you can't see his face. So
so it's not the posting of the photo stagnant posts. Like, no, those are fine now.
That's easier. Yeah.
It's the you with your face or with you either talking or teaching or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like I should probably post reels because I don't know. I don't actually know why, because everybody does. And that's what keeps your account alive, I guess, is what I've heard. Part of it's just I do want to use my own creativity to make these things. I mean, that is enjoyable if I can just get past the fear. And I'm going to be honest, every time I pull up my Instagram page, I'm like, I don't know if I like it. There's too much yellow. Like, am I doing this right? Like, I have all these thoughts that come up, but what I do is I just ignore that and leave it alone. And I just try not to go back to what I've already posted because I do want to keep moving forward. I just haven't jumped off the cliff yet.
Gotcha. So I almost wonder if I were in your shoes, I feel like I would try to create some sort of, kind of like you were saying, like a how-to video, some sort of tutorial, something that's going to like naturally come easy to you, or like kind of like your friend was asking you about, like how to the things that you would be making for your friend right now. It's almost like the perfect synergy of the fact that your friend has asked you for help, because you can pretend like you're talking just to her. Because how hard was that video that you made that was just for her?
It was very easy to make.
Right.
And the thing is that, like, in terms of looking at myself and my voice and all that stuff, like you were talking about, I have gotten over a lot of that stuff because even before COVID, we were in a period of time where I was making videos for my students. Like, we were starting to get really techie in education. And so sometimes I was like, what would be easy, instead of explaining this lesson to the 17 kids that were absent because there's a stomach virus going around, is I could make a video, post it in Google Classroom. And then when they come in, I could be like, here's your video. So I had already started doing a lot of that stuff. But of course, my audience, I had a captive audience of 12-year-olds who, like, I didn't care if they, thought I was ugly or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't care. Versus my audience being like the whole entire world is a little scary.
Which I think is also where you're getting kind of stuck. So not to make you feel worse, it'll probably make you feel better. But realistically, how many people are going to see these videos when they first go out?
Oh, yeah. Like 3.
Right.
Like, not very many people.
Yeah. Which is
my mom.
Right. Which is why now, before you get to the point where people are looking for how to get my kid ready for school or those school things again, now's the perfect time when no one's looking for that, because everyone's just excited that summer's coming. So no one's really looking for that stuff right now. And your friend has just asked you, like, hey, so when you're creating these videos, if you literally can create it essentially just for her, and then try to post a few of those and see how that feels. Because I think that's the other scary part, is like you're saying, like in our mind, we're almost like that whole, like, standing on stage in front of an audience of like thousands, and when we
Right.
post on social media versus, oh, I just created a video for my friend who's struggling with this thing and I want to help her.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
take the focus off of us and we put it on who we're helping and we have a face to that who we're helping, like it makes it so much easier to create those things. And so
Yeah.
what if you just, forget the future, forget the past? What if you were like, okay, I'm going to make 3 videos to help her, whatever her name is, and just see how those feel? I'm not saying you have to post them. It would be good if you did, but practice just making the reels, and then you at least have the stuff you're going to send to her anyways. And kind of see how you feel after just creating those like 3 how-to videos.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it's so this friend, let's call her Jenny. Jenny reached out, and it's funny because she is wanting to be a children's author. She actually retired from her career. I mean, basically what I did was retire from teaching. I mean, I just retired at the age of 38 and was like, what am I going to do next? But it was essentially a retirement. Like I know I'm not going to go back to teaching at this point. I do very much miss the kids, but that's pretty much it. So she had reached out, and we were just talking about social media and what we're afraid of and things like that. Because obviously she's very much putting herself out there too. She has self-published a couple books, and she was like, I was telling her about my social media fear, because I'm at the point now where I'm ready to take action. Like, I'm not ready to just do it, as people say. Like, I'm not going to be like, my action is to make a 90-second reel. Like, I'm not there yet, but I am ready. Like, I reached out to you, and I've just put a couple other things in motion to at least like start the crossing of the bridge. So I had told her, I have this fear, and she goes, well, I can hold you accountable. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, like, I'll post every day. It'll probably not end up being every day, but I said, I'll post every day if you post every day for your author account. And she was like, well, I wouldn't even know what to put for that. And I was like, exactly. That's why we should do it together. So we're going to meet this week and have breakfast and each bring a notebook. And I'm going to give her a bunch of ideas for what she could post as a writer, because I'm a big book person. I'm a big writer. Like, so for me, it's like I could come up with a million ideas for her.
Yep.
And then her having an ADHD son, being a mom, I don't think she personally has issues with organization, but her son does. And so I'm sure she could come up with a million ideas for me. So that's kind of my next,
Or
after talking to you
any
today.
questions that she has. Like, be like,
Yes.
listen, what questions do you have? Or even, and just tell her, be like, even as you're like walking through your day or doing whatever, if a question pops in your mind that relates to this, please send it to me, because any questions that you have, other moms are going to have that same question. And so it gives me something that I can then turn around and answer your question by creating some sort of how-to video, tutorial, something that would just be like a quick little video, that with the intent of when you record it, knowing you're going to be sending that to her, you're just going to be sending it to her through your Instagram account.
I think what you said about starting where I'm at,
Yeah.
making videos for my friend Jenny.
Yeah. And quit looking at other people's and getting stuck. Like, right now, it's great to look at other people's for inspiration, for like the fun of it, whatever. But you almost need to put some blinders on.
Yeah.
For the moment, until you get yourself through this.
Yeah. One thing I have been good about is not looking at other organizers. Like, I've specifically stayed away from looking at other professional organizers, knowing that I have this fear. And I'm like, if I go down that rabbit hole, like, of looking at, people who've been doing this for years, or people who just have a knack, or, like, I've looked at a few of the people in the membership, just specifically, for specific reasons, but I have avoided like going down the dark path.
And I think having that mindset shift for you of, I'm posting for like as Allie, or I'm posting as a professional organizer, you don't want to do either of those right now. So I think posting as a teacher, like I'm just going to help my friend and I'm just going to teach her what I already know.
Mhm.
It helps kind of buffer that fear of like, well, I'm not a professional organizer yet. And, is how you're feeling, even though you technically are, I mean, we are once we've launched our business. But
Yeah.
I get that that's where, for a lot of us, the imposter syndrome comes up, is because the word professional is in there and we feel
Right.
like we aren't at that stage yet. And then for Allie, as a teacher, it was always like, oh, don't put your personal life out there. So you almost have these two competing thoughts kind of coming at you. So no wonder you're stuck when you go to post,
Mhm.
because it's the thoughts that you're thinking that are getting you the result that you have right now, which is why I was wanting you to kind of look at your thoughts for a moment. Because so in the thought model, which I know you know a lot about with coaching, and because you've been through coaching, but literally the idea that like whatever the circumstance is, which is that, you want to be able to post for your business, but then the thought you're thinking about that circumstance is what's giving you your result, because the thought you're thinking gives you your feeling. That feeling gives you the action you take or the inaction you don't take, which gives you the result, right?
Right.
But it starts with that thought. And so if the thought is there's millions of people that I'm getting ready to put this out for, or if the thought is I'm supposed to be posting as a professional organizer, but I'm not a professional organizer yet, or I don't feel that way yet. So like, I think if you could also be aware of the thoughts you're thinking around this and try to catch it and be like, no, 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 I'm going to choose this other better thought that serves me of I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher. I'm sharing what I know with my friend Jenny.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, kind of that like overwhelm and like, feeling becomes like, oh, I can do this kind of feeling, which is going to
Yeah.
give you a different result.
And it makes a lot of sense because a lot of people do reach out to me in that context,
Mhm.
of how can I get my kid organized? How can I, when, like the other one that comes up all the time is when do I email the teacher? And I actually created a workshop around that for back to school night, my last few years of teaching, because I started noticing parents of seventh graders specifically, because we have junior high out here where they go to elementary school through sixth. And so they start junior high is seventh and eighth. And so seventh grade parents, they didn't know when to step in. Like how much, in other words, how independent do I let my kid be versus how much do I micromanage, right? Like finding that balance.
Yeah.
And I created a whole workshop around that. And I thought, okay, well, I could definitely do something with that because it's obviously not organizing binders or folders or anything or books, but it's life organization. It's if your kid is getting lost in like missing assignments or whatever, here's how you can step in as the parent, to help them get back on track or whatever. So yeah.
Professional organizing is problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have problems that we come in and solve, whether that's with their paperwork, whether that's in their online stuff, whether that's in their office, whether that's in their home. They have a problem and we come in to help figure out the solution or the system or the puzzle that would help them figure that out. So it absolutely falls under problem solving. And
Yeah.
so maybe even for you right now, it's looking at yourself as a problem solver
Mm-hmm.
more so than a professional organizer.
Yeah.
It's what you naturally want to do. You want to help people. And
Mm-hmm.
so taking kind of that label off of it and that almost like expectation, like we do it when we're starting our business. Others do it when they see the word professional organizer, they automatically assume we're perfect. Our lives are perfect. We have everything put together. Like we've got it all just squared away. But it almost backfires on a lot of us that are just getting started because we subconsciously are thinking the same thing. Oh, I'm supposed to be a professional organizer now, so I should just have all the answers. I should have it all together. I should have already done all these like should, right?
Right, right.
Where if maybe you can just take that label off for even a month or so, just until you get kind of past this fear of and if someone asks you, like, what do you do? Of course, you can still say, I'm a professional organizer,
Mm-hmm.
but you could also say, I help people solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
same. It's an interchangeable
Yeah.
thing.
And I am getting more comfortable talking to people about it. I am a bit authentically of an awkward person inherently. But I when I went to college, I went to UCLA and I fell into with no because neither of my parents went to college and I just kind of fell into joining a sorority. I may have told you this before, but it was the best thing I ever did because being in the sorority taught me, like, I learned how to become a really great conversationalist and how to seamlessly weave things in. And so I'm getting better at, like, as a conversation sort of unfolds, being like, well, I am a professional organizer now, so I could help you with that. Sweet lady stopped by my house yesterday. One of my neighbors, I had posted in our neighborhood group, we're getting a little free library. So, because we just had a big garage sale. And so I wasn't able to do anything professional organizer wise because I had to go to a track meet. But after the garage sale, I was able to tell people if you have books, drop them off at my house. I'll store them for you and then we'll have them for the little free library. And so this woman comes over and we're talking about books and her husband's, he has all these bookshelves, but he has too many books. And I was like, well,
Yep.
So I am getting better at that piece of it,
Well, and
but
remembering that
the
all of this
online thing.
takes time, right? That's the other thing I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of us don't give ourselves is the time, which I know you're a lot better than a lot of us, but a lot of us think like, oh, well, I've got it launched. Like I did all this work and got all this like almost frenzy to get it like launched. And then I should already be working with clients, or I should be already doing this, or I should already be doing that. Where I've literally seen time and time and time again, it takes minimum 9 months from launch for
Right.
any sort of consistency to start coming in. But in those first 9 months, you have to be doing exactly what you just said, planting
Yeah.
those seeds anywhere and everywhere that you can think of in a natural way. You don't want to come off like, hey, look at me.
Right,
But
right.
like you said, it just naturally opened up in the
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So you just kind of planted that seed, handed them a
Mm-hmm.
card. And then when they're ready, they'll call you or they'll tell their friend or their sister, like, ooh, I met this professional organizer. And like, and all of that will start to work for you and it will turn into clients.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if during this kind of downtime right now, you can get the social media going, but I almost feel like you sharing kind of naturally who you are is really going to be your like secret sauce in a way. Like I know it's super hard right now because you're just getting started, but you being able to be like, listen, I was a teacher, but I am actually naturally an awkward person. And so this is really hard for me, but I'm pushing through because I know I can help you with your kids. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that what you're struggling with right now is super hard, but I'm going to do everything I can to get you as much information that I know you need with a kid, with ADHD or with a whatever. So does that kind
Yeah.
of help
So
take off like the weight or the fear of, and what as your homework are you promising to do? Because I'm going to totally hold you accountable in the group.
yeah. So I'm going to meet with my friend Wednesday, and I'm hoping that together, well, I know just talking it out, even I'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to generate a lot of ideas, right? So then I'll have this page of ideas. But yeah, I want to make the videos and just kind of sit in the feeling of making them. And maybe I can run them past my friend, she could watch them, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's a very comfortable person to me to be working with too, because she's not this like brilliant writer who's out there suddenly like, I'm an author and I'm publishing books. Like she's very similar to me where she's like, I want to do this. I'm not sure I'm doing it right. It feels kind of awkward, like she's on the same
Absolutely.
level as me.
But like my community, because we
Yes.
all are being authentic about the fact that we all feel that way on a daily
Yes.
basis of like,
Yes.
am I doing this right? I think I am. Maybe I didn't. Ooh, did I forget something? Oh yeah. What about that other thing? Like that's just, it's business in this day because we have so many things going on. But I am proud of you. So let's create like, like you said, minimum 3 videos that you just
Mm-hmm.
at least share with her. Cause That's going to get you in the practice of sharing them with somebody. And you've already done it once and you said it was easy. So that would be easy to kind of ramp out. And then the other thing that I would kind of like maybe recommend for you specifically is maybe you go back to that workshop you did, or one or two of the ideas that she talks about. If there's like a really, really good one, maybe look into creating a workshop around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about that too.
A workshop can be your freebie that is on your website. And the great thing about a workshop is it's more time than just like a 15-second, video or a little story or a little reel. It's like they can really get to know who you are. And it's been proven that if we have video attached to our service-based business, people are 60% more likely to hire us over someone else that they couldn't find a video on.
I had actually thought of doing that. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because now I'm like, oh, good. That was a good idea.
That's it was a good idea. It's a fantastic idea. And it's one that is going to help you get more comfortable being on video because you're creating a longer workshop. And so the more time you do this and spend doing this, the better it's going to get. But oh my God, I'm so thankful for you, and definitely keep me updated, which of course I'll see you in the group coaching community. So you will keep me updated, but thank you so much for being willing to step out today and share everything with everyone in the podcast. And then for those of you listening, we will definitely catch you in the next one. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.